Every day, challenges show up in our lives, big ones, small ones, expected and unexpected. How we respond to those challenges shapes everything: our happiness, our success, and our peace of mind. The key to handling difficulties well isn't luck or talent, it's the ability to think strategically. Strategic thinking means being able to see the whole picture clearly, make smart decisions quickly, and act with purpose even when things get tough. This book is about learning that skill. It's about training your mind to work in a way that helps you stay calm, focused, and in control, no matter what life throws your way. You'll discover how to manage your thoughts, simplify your priorities, and build routines that support your long-term goals. You'll learn how to pause before reacting, reflect on your choices, and challenge old habits that hold you back. Most importantly, you'll find out how to take confident, bold steps when others hesitate. The ideas here aren't complicated theories. They are practical, everyday steps you can use right now to improve your thinking and your life. Whether you're facing a tough decision, a stressful situation, or just want to be sharper and more disciplined every day, these lessons will help you. They are designed to build strength and clarity gradually, giving you the tools to outsmart challenges instead of being overwhelmed by them. By committing to these practices, you will start to notice real change. Your mind will become clearer, your actions more effective, and your confidence will grow. You'll begin to see problems as manageable puzzles instead of threats. This shift will not only improve how you handle difficulties, but also how you approach your goals and your daily life. If you are ready to take control of your thinking and develop a strategy for success, this book will guide you through every step. It's a journey of steady growth, resilience, and self-mastery. The more you apply these ideas, the more you will see how much power you already have to shape your future. This is your opportunity to sharpen your mind and face any challenge with strength and purpose. Chapter 1: Master your thoughts to control your daily decisions. Every decision you make today is shaped first by your thoughts. What you allow to take root in your mind sets the direction for your actions, your emotions, and ultimately your life. If your thoughts are disorganized, reactive, or shaped by fear, your decisions will reflect that chaos. But if your mind is clear, calm, and focused, your decisions will follow that same strength. Strategic thinking doesn't begin with skills or tools. It begins with learning to master what goes on inside your own head. Most people don't realize how much of their daily life is ruled by automatic thoughts. You wake up, and before your feet even hit the floor, your mind is already racing. Worries about money, conflicts with others, tasks undone, doubts about yourself. All of these thoughts, if left unchecked, start to influence the tone of your day. You start reacting instead of leading. You start defending instead of deciding, and slowly your life becomes a reflection of the noise in your mind. Strategic thinking, the kind that helps you move through challenges with purpose, starts when you take control of that internal dialogue. The first thing you must accept is that your thoughts are not always telling you the truth. Just because a thought feels urgent doesn't make it important. Just because a thought is loud doesn't mean it's wise. Your brain has been shaped by years of experiences, fears, habits, and influences, and without deliberate effort, it will continue to run in loops that don't serve your future. Mastering your thoughts means interrupting those loops. It means learning to see your thinking clearly without being dragged around by it. It means asking, every day, is this thought helping me or holding me back? When you learn to ask that question consistently, you take back the steering wheel of your life. A person who lives by reaction is at the mercy of everything, but a person who thinks deliberately can move through any situation with purpose. That doesn't mean you'll never have negative thoughts. It means you'll recognize them when they come, and you'll know how to respond with strength instead of weakness. Most of the time, this response is quiet and internal. It's not about shouting affirmations or pretending to be positive. It's about noticing a thought and choosing not to feed it. That's real power, not in controlling the world outside you, but in mastering the world within you. Here's something most people never do. Sit still for 10 minutes and just watch their thoughts. No phone, no distraction. Just observe what comes up. You'll notice how quickly your mind jumps from one thing to another. You'll see how many thoughts come from fear, insecurity, or distraction. And in that moment, if you're honest with yourself, you'll begin to understand why your decisions often feel scattered or emotional. If your thinking is unclear, your choices will follow. Mastering your thoughts doesn't mean becoming emotionless. It means becoming grounded. It means creating space between what happens and how you respond. That space is where strategy begins. Each morning, you have a small window to reset the tone of your mind. Before the emails, the noise, the demands, there is a short period of time when your mind is open. Use that time with intention. Sit with a journal and ask yourself, what do I want to think today? Who do I want to be? What kind of decisions do I need to make? This is not fantasy. This is mental preparation. Athletes train their bodies every day. Strategic thinkers train their minds. They don't leave their thinking to chance. They don't allow moods to decide outcomes. They set the tone, and they do it with consistency. When you start your day by choosing your thoughts, even in small ways, you give yourself a head start. You create mental order. You begin the day as a leader, not a follower of circumstance. And over time, this habit compounds. You'll begin to notice patterns in your thinking. You'll begin to catch moments where you would have reacted impulsively and instead pause and reflect. That pause is not weakness. That pause is your power. It's the moment where you take back control. In difficult situations, the first thing to collapse is often your thinking. Stress has a way of narrowing your view. When your mind is overwhelmed, you stop thinking long-term. You stop seeing options. You fall into survival mode. That's why strategic thinking requires emotional discipline. You can't think clearly if your emotions are running the show. So what do you do when pressure builds? You breathe, you slow things down. You name what you're feeling without acting on it. You tell yourself, this feeling is temporary. My next move matters more. That small reminder is enough to pull you back into clarity. Every challenge in life is easier to face when your mind is calm. Calm doesn't mean passive. Calm means composed. Calm means you see things for what they are, not what your fear tells you they are. Most people face challenges and immediately fall into worst-case thinking. They imagine failure. They replay past mistakes. They doubt their strength. Strategic thinkers do something different. They slow their mind. They ask, what is really happening here? What do I control? What does this situation need from me? These questions bring your mind out of panic and into purpose. The quality of your questions will shape the quality of your thoughts. Weak questions lead to weak thinking. Why does this always happen to me? Is a question that creates helplessness. What can I learn from this moment? Is a question that creates power. Start noticing the questions you ask yourself each day. When something goes wrong, do you look for someone to blame, or do you look for a better strategy? When you feel tired, do you give in to the feeling, or do you ask what needs to be adjusted? Your thoughts follow your focus. If you focus on what you cannot control, your thoughts will become heavy. There is a direct link between your mental clarity and the people you spend time with. If you surround yourself with constant negativity or small thinking, your own thoughts will shrink. If you engage in empty conversations or gossip, your mind will begin to default to low-value thinking. But when you spend time with people who are disciplined, focused, and thoughtful, your own mind begins to rise to their level. That doesn't mean cutting everyone off. It means being deliberate. It means choosing conversations that feed your mind instead of draining it. Strategic thinking is not about being the smartest person in the room. It's about being the clearest. Clarity leads to confidence, and confidence leads to decisive action. A person who masters their thoughts walks into each day with less noise and more direction. They waste less time on things that don't matter. They recover faster from setbacks. They see through distractions. And when it's time to make a hard decision, they do it with calm strength. That's what it means to outsmart life's challenges. Not to avoid them, but to face them with a mind that is steady and sharp. Here's a practice to begin each day. Write down the 3 thoughts that dominate your mind in the morning. Then ask yourself, are these thoughts moving me forward or pulling me back? If they're negative, don't argue with them. Replace them. Write down 3 thoughts that serve your growth. Practice this every day. Your mind will start to shift. The goal is not perfection. The goal is awareness. Once you're aware of your thoughts, you can shape them. And once you shape your thoughts, you shape your decisions. Some days your mind will feel strong. Other days it will feel clouded or anxious. That's normal. The key is consistency. You don't have to win every mental battle. You just have to keep showing up. Keep observing. Keep adjusting. Over time, your default thinking will become more stable, more strategic. You'll notice that you hesitate less and act more. You'll stop second-guessing yourself and start trusting your process. You'll feel less pulled by emotion and more driven by intention. Mastering your thoughts is not about control, it's about choice. It's the quiet decision you make each day to return to what matters. It's the skill of noticing what you're thinking and asking, does this serve my purpose? That one question, asked consistently, can transform your life. Because your thoughts, repeated daily, become your mindset. And your mindset becomes your future. When you build the habit of choosing your thoughts, you build the foundation for every wise decision you'll ever make. The truth is, you don't need to think more. You need to think better, clearer, simpler, more intentionally. You need to replace constant inner noise with steady direction. You need to stop following your feelings and start leading them. You need to give yourself permission to pause, to reflect, and to decide your next move with care. That's how you move from survival to strategy. That's how you shift from reaction to direction. And that's how you start living like someone who cannot be easily shaken. You will face setbacks. You will face moments of doubt. But if you've trained your mind to be steady, you will not fall apart. Chapter 2. Build mental clarity by simplifying your daily priorities. Every day begins with a set of invisible choices. Before you check your phone or open your calendar, your mind is already deciding what matters most today. Whether you're aware of it or not, your brain is sorting through priorities, assigning value, and silently pushing you towards certain actions. This process happens fast and often without your conscious permission. That's why so many people move through their days feeling rushed, distracted, or uncertain, because their priorities are unclear or overloaded. Mental clarity doesn't come from trying to do more. It comes from learning to focus on less and doing what matters with full attention. The reason most people feel mentally scattered is not because they lack intelligence or ambition. It's because they're trying to hold too many things at once. They think they need to solve every problem, respond to every message, and complete every task that shows up. But the truth is, your energy is limited, your time is limited, and your focus, perhaps your most valuable asset, is incredibly fragile. If you try to direct it toward everything, you end up giving it to nothing. Simplifying your daily priorities is not about being lazy or doing less for the sake of comfort. It's about being clear. It's about knowing exactly what you're working toward and removing everything that pulls you away from it. Disorder in your physical space reflects disorder in your thinking. If your desk is cluttered, your files are unorganized, and your environment is chaotic, your mind will struggle to stay focused. That's why simplifying your priorities often starts with cleaning your space. When your surroundings are clear, your thoughts begin to follow. This doesn't mean becoming obsessive about minimalism. It means creating a space that supports focus, a space that helps you concentrate on what matters instead of constantly reminding you of what you've left unfinished. Another key to clarity is eliminating decision fatigue. Every small choice you make during the day drains a bit of your mental energy. What to wear, what to eat, when to check your email. These small decisions seem harmless, but they accumulate. That's why successful thinkers and leaders often build routines. They don't waste energy on low-level choices. The more you can automate the basics of your day, the more mental space you'll have for higher-level thinking. Simplify your morning, simplify your meals, simplify your schedule, not to live a boring life, but to preserve your energy for what really counts. Clarity also requires boundaries, not just with others but with yourself. You must learn to protect your time from distractions, even when they come disguised as opportunities. Chapter 3. Strengthen focus. By removing all hidden distractions today, focus is not just about trying harder, it is about seeing clearly what is standing in your way and removing it without hesitation. Distractions don't always look like loud interruptions. Often they are quiet, persistent habits that steal your attention one small piece at a time. They hide in routines, in assumptions, in how you use your time without questioning it. You don't have to be surrounded by chaos to lose your focus. All it takes is letting your attention drift toward things that don't move you forward. Most people don't realize how much of their mental energy is wasted. They check their phone out of habit, glance at notifications without thinking, and keep multiple tabs open even when their mind is trying to concentrate. The result is a brain that is constantly jumping, constantly scanning, never fully engaged. You might finish the day feeling like you were busy all day, but when you look back, you can't point to anything deeply meaningful that got done. This is what hidden distractions do. They rob you without making noise. They leave you tired but empty, alert but unproductive. To strengthen your focus, you need to take control of your mental environment. That means identifying the things that regularly pull you away from your most important work and making bold decisions to remove them. This is not about forcing discipline through pressure. It's about creating conditions where discipline becomes natural. It's hard to concentrate when your surroundings are full of temptation. It's difficult to stay focused when your mind is constantly being pulled in different directions. So instead of trying to push through distractions with willpower, design your day in a way that gives your focus a clear path to follow. Start by being brutally honest with yourself. Where does your focus go when you are trying to work? What are the patterns you fall into without realizing it? Is it checking messages, opening unnecessary apps, starting new tasks before finishing the current one? These actions may seem small, but over time they shape your ability to concentrate. You can't fix what you don't see, so awareness is the first step. Sit still and look closely at how your attention behaves during the day. Write down what breaks your rhythm, what slows your pace, what pulls you into shallow thinking. This process reveals what must be eliminated. Next, make real decisions about what deserves access to your attention. Not everything does. You don't need to be reachable at every moment. You don't need to keep up with every update. You don't need to say yes to every request. The more you protect your time, the more you reclaim your focus. Set boundaries around your digital habits. Turn off notifications that don't serve your goals. Uninstall apps that offer quick relief but provide no real progress. Designate blocks of time where you check messages instead of responding immediately. These choices may feel uncomfortable at first, but they will train your mind to stay centered. Don't underestimate the power of your physical environment. What you see around you influences what you think about. If your workspace is cluttered, your mind feels scattered. If your room is noisy, your thoughts become restless. Simplify your surroundings so they reflect the clarity you want to build. Keep only what you need for the task in front of you. Remove objects that invite distraction. Create a space that invites deep work, not shallow engagement. Your focus grows in the places where distractions are not invited to live. Single tasking is a forgotten skill in a world that glorifies multitasking, but your brain is not designed to perform multiple tasks at once with high quality. It switches rapidly between them, draining your energy and weakening your concentration. One of the best ways to strengthen focus is to give your full attention to one thing until it's done. This builds mental endurance. It sharpens your thinking. It teaches your brain how to go deep instead of staying shallow. Choose one important task and stay with it. Don't rush. Don't skip ahead. Let yourself get lost in the depth of doing one thing well. Your attention is your life. Whatever you focus on grows in importance, whether you intend it or not. If you keep directing your thoughts toward distraction, your ability to concentrate will shrink. But if you keep bringing your focus back to what matters, even when it's hard, that muscle will grow stronger. Train yourself to notice when your mind drifts and gently bring it back. Do this over and over without judgment. Each time you return to your task, you're building a habit of presence. That habit will eventually become your new normal. Social pressure is another hidden distraction. The need to respond quickly, to stay connected, to always be available. It pulls your attention away from yourself and into a constant performance for others. But focus is internal. It requires silence. It grows in solitude. You have to create time where you are unreachable, where the world cannot interfere with your progress. These are not selfish choices. They are strategic decisions that protect your mental energy. People who respect your growth will understand your boundaries. People who don't are not part of the path you need to walk. Emotions can be distractions too. Worrying about outcomes, overthinking conversations, revisiting past mistakes, these internal loops consume your attention without producing results. That's why mental focus also requires emotional clarity. Practice naming what you feel without being controlled by it. If your mind is racing, pause and breathe. If you're feeling anxious, write it down and release it. If you're stuck in a loop of fear, return to the present moment and ask, what can I do right now? Emotional control is not about suppression. It's about redirecting your energy from what you cannot change to what you can improve. Build a daily rhythm that honors your energy. Work when your mind is sharp. Rest when it needs recovery. Break your day into focused segments with intentional pauses in between. Use the first hours of your morning for deep work before the world's noise arrives. Reserve the afternoon for lighter tasks or reflection. Give yourself permission to slow down without losing momentum. When you align your schedule with your natural focus patterns, everything becomes smoother. You stop fighting your mind and start working with it. Strengthening your focus is not a one-time project. It's a daily commitment. It's a choice you make each morning when you decide what deserves your full attention. It's a decision you make each hour when you notice your mind drifting. It's the discipline to return again and again to the work that matters most. Distractions may never fully disappear, but your power lies in your ability to see them clearly and choose something better. As you remove the hidden distractions from your life, something powerful begins to happen. Your thinking becomes sharper. Your actions become more aligned. Your confidence grows not because you're doing more, but because you're finally doing the right things with full attention. You no longer live in fragments. You move with wholeness. You stop chasing everything and start building something lasting. That is the reward of focus. That is the foundation of strength. And that is how you take control of your direction starting today. Chapter 4. Create daily routines that sharpen your long-term vision. Every life is shaped by the routines that quietly guide it each day. Most people never realize how deeply their future is tied to the simple patterns they repeat. The small things done regularly build the foundation of everything that becomes meaningful. You don't need to change your whole life overnight. What you need is a clear path that moves you steadily toward the life you want to create. That path is made visible when you start designing routines that reflect your long-term direction instead of short-term distractions. Without structure, your day belongs to whatever pulls at you the loudest. It becomes a reaction instead of a response. But when you begin to set your time with intention, you create room for growth, reflection, and progress. Routines don't have to be rigid to be powerful. They only need to be aligned with your vision. Every day is a blank page, and your routines are the way you write your future on it. If your actions don't point toward your long-term values, they slowly drag you away from them. To create routines that sharpen your vision, you must first get honest about what that vision is. Not the one that sounds good when others ask, but the one that speaks to you in the quiet moments when no one is watching. Ask yourself what kind of person you want to become. Ask what kind of life would make you proud. Ask what you want to contribute and how you want to feel at the end of a year, or 5, or 10. Without a clear sense of direction, your routines will lack meaning. But when your long-term vision becomes the anchor, your daily choices gain clarity. Once you see the path, the next step is to create patterns that support it. This is not about complexity, it is about consistency. Your routine should make it easier to act in alignment with who you want to become. If you want to build discipline, start the day with something that requires it. If you want to grow your knowledge, carve out time to read, study, or reflect. If you want better health, shape your meals and movement around energy, not comfort. You are not trying to impress anyone with your routine. You are trying to shape yourself, day by day, into someone who lives with purpose. Every routine must serve a reason. If something doesn't move you forward, remove it. Simplify your day until it reflects only what is essential to your growth. This is not about doing more. It is about doing less with more meaning. You don't need to fill every hour to feel successful. You only need to fill your hours with things that count. Begin with a morning practice that centers your thoughts. Use the first part of your day to align with your purpose. Write down your top priority. Plan your time around your mission. Don't let the morning disappear in meaningless habits. Build moments of intention into the day. These don't have to be long or complicated. Even a few minutes of stillness can reset your direction. Use your breaks to breathe, stretch, or reset your attention. Check in with your goals. Notice where your time is being lost. Routines that sharpen vision require awareness. If you move through the day on autopilot, you will forget what you're building. But if you stop and realign regularly, your actions become more precise. Every decision starts pointing in the same direction. The end of the day holds just as much power as the beginning. Don't let it pass without learning something. Use your evenings to reflect. Ask what went well. Ask what could be done better. Ask how your actions reflected your values. A few minutes of honest review can shape the direction of the next day. Growth doesn't come from perfection. It comes from paying attention and adjusting with clarity. End each day with the intention to improve something small tomorrow. This small step creates powerful momentum. Routine is not a cage, it's a tool. You can adjust it, evolve it, strengthen it as your vision becomes clearer. If something stops working, change it. If something adds value, deepen it. The most effective routines are the ones you can maintain with simplicity and conviction. Don't follow trends. Don't copy someone else's system unless it fits you. Design something that works with your rhythm, your energy, your season of life. Start small, keep it realistic, and build slowly until your day supports the person you're becoming. Your long-term vision should never feel distant. It should be built into the minutes you live right now. If your day has no connection to your dream, you will lose energy and direction. But if you see that each task, each habit, each hour brings you one step closer, You begin to move with a different level of commitment. You stop doubting yourself. You stop comparing. You begin to trust that progress is happening, even if it's quiet and invisible, and that trust fuels you to continue, especially when motivation fades. Don't underestimate the power of repetition. Doing the right thing daily, even when it's hard or boring, builds resilience. Every time you show up with discipline, you prove to yourself that you can be counted on. That inner trust becomes the foundation of confidence. Confidence isn't built by waiting for things to feel easy. It's built by honoring your routine when it would be easier to skip it. Over time, these moments shape a mindset of strength. They remind you that you are capable of shaping your life with intention. Your routine will not be perfect. You will miss days. You will feel resistance. You will face interruptions and setbacks. That's expected. What matters is that you return, that you adjust, that you don't abandon the process when it gets uncomfortable. A powerful routine is not one that never fails. It's one that always continues. If you miss one day, come back the next. If you fall off track, reset without guilt. The commitment to return builds the habit stronger than before. Long-term vision demands patience. Results may not appear immediately, but your routine is the proof that you're on the right path. You don't need constant validation when your actions reflect your values. Stay consistent. Keep your focus on process, not just outcomes. When your routines are shaped by vision, they pull you through the difficult days and guide you through the uncertain ones. You stop chasing quick results and start building something solid, something real. In time, the effects of your routines will begin to show. Your mindset will shift. Your decisions will align. Your days will feel more grounded. What once felt distant will begin to take shape in your habits, your energy, your results. This is not magic. It is the direct result of living each day with quiet discipline and long-term clarity. Routines that sharpen your vision are not glamorous. They are steady, they are intentional, and they work one day at a time. Chapter 5. Train your mind to pause before reacting under pressure. Pressure has a way of pulling out the version of us we've worked hard to control. In one brief moment, we can say things we don't mean, act without thinking, or make decisions that lead to regret. The challenge isn't just staying calm, it's being conscious. The ability to pause before reacting is one of the most valuable skills a person can develop. It separates those who are controlled by emotion from those who lead with clarity. Every time you respond without thinking, you surrender your power, but every time you pause and choose your response, you take control of your life. You cannot avoid pressure. It will meet you in traffic, in arguments, at work, in relationships, and during moments when the stakes are high. The goal isn't to live a pressure-free life. The goal is to train your mind to stay steady when pressure arrives. Most people never practice this. They wait until tension shows up, then rely on instinct to carry them through. But instinct, without awareness, often chooses the path of least resistance. That path usually leads to overreactions, blame, and poor decisions. If you want to master yourself, you must practice the pause. The pause is a short window between what happens to you and what you choose to do about it. It might be 1 second, it might be 10, but inside that window lies your entire future. That space is where growth happens. It's where the disciplined mind gets stronger and the impulsive mind gets weaker. When you build the habit of slowing down your reaction, you give yourself time to assess, adjust, and respond with intention instead of emotion. The more you practice this, the more it becomes your natural way of moving through the world. Training your mind to pause begins with noticing the signs that pressure is rising. Your body will usually tell you first. You'll feel it in your chest, shoulders, or stomach. Your heart might beat faster. Your breathing may change. Tension shows up physically before it becomes verbal or behavioral. Learn to listen to those signals. Use them as alerts that a moment of choice is approaching. When you notice those signs, stop. Breathe. Do not speak. Do not move toward action. Just give yourself a few seconds to gather your awareness. Once you pause, shift your attention inward. Ask yourself one simple question: what outcome do I want here? This question is powerful because it pulls your attention away from the trigger and toward your intention. It reminds you that you are not here to win an argument or prove a point. You are here to live in alignment with your values. When you stay outcome-focused, your emotions lose some of their grip. You remember the bigger picture. You protect your energy from being drained by things that don't matter in the long run. It takes discipline to pause when every part of you wants to react. But that discipline is the root of maturity. It shows that you no longer give your emotions the final say. You still feel them, but you don't follow them blindly. That is strength. It's easy to explode. It's easy to lash out or walk away in silence. What's hard is standing still, breathing deeply, and responding with wisdom. Every time you do that, you are rewiring your mind to lead instead of follow. The pause also protects your relationships. When you react without thinking, you often say things you can't take back. Words spoken in anger may be remembered long after the situation ends. But when you pause, you create space for empathy. You begin to see the other person not as an enemy, but as a human. You become more aware of your tone. You consider the impact of your words, and in doing so you prevent damage. You keep connection intact, even in difficult moments. This doesn't mean you hold back your truth. It means you deliver it with care and strength instead of impulse. Beyond relationships, the pause helps you make smarter decisions. Pressure creates urgency. It pushes you to act fast, often without thinking things through, but fast decisions are rarely wise ones. Taking a short pause can stop you from making a choice based on fear, ego, or anxiety. It gives you time to think about the long-term consequences. It helps you respond with logic instead of panic. This ability is especially important in leadership, business, and moments of crisis. Those who pause before acting are the ones who earn trust and make progress without leaving destruction behind. To strengthen this skill, build it into your daily practice. Start with small situations. When someone cuts you off in traffic, pause. When your phone rings while you're focused on work, pause. When a message irritates you, pause before replying. These moments may seem insignificant, but they are training grounds. Each time you choose the pause, you build mental muscle. Over time, your default response becomes slower, calmer, more thoughtful. You begin to own your emotions instead of letting them own you. You can also prepare your mind in advance by using visualization. Think of a situation that usually causes you to react. Then mentally walk through that moment with the pause in place. See yourself noticing the pressure, taking a breath, and responding with clarity. This kind of rehearsal strengthens your brain's ability to follow that path when it matters. It's not about controlling everything. It's about being prepared to stay grounded when life tests you. Another practice that deepens this ability is journaling. At the end of each day, reflect on moments where you reacted quickly. Ask yourself what triggered the reaction, how it felt, and what you could have done differently. This honest review helps you become more aware of your patterns. It removes the shame and replaces it with learning. You are not trying to be perfect. You are trying to be better, one pause at a time. Meditation and deep breathing are also powerful tools. They teach your nervous system how to calm itself. They create inner space where the pause can live. A few minutes each morning spent in quiet reflection can carry over into your entire day. When you invest in your inner stillness, you become less reactive to outer noise. You move through challenges with more grace and less damage. You make better choices. You protect your peace. The pause is not weakness. It is power under control. It is the strength to remain grounded when the world is shaking. It is the wisdom to wait when everyone else is rushing. It is the discipline to choose your response instead of handing it over to emotion. This kind of power doesn't shout. It doesn't need to prove itself. It shows up in quiet decisions that shape your life from the inside out. Training your mind to pause is not a one-time lesson. It's a daily effort. Some days you'll succeed, other days you'll slip, but the progress is in returning, in noticing sooner, in staying grounded longer. This path doesn't promise ease, but it promises growth. It promises inner strength, and it promises a life built on conscious choice, not unconscious reaction. When you master the pause, you take back the wheel, you stop being driven by triggers, and start being guided by purpose. You move through life with clarity, and the pressure that once controlled you loses its grip. Not because it's gone, but because you've changed. You've trained your mind to lead, even when it's hard. And that leadership shapes everything you touch. Chapter 6. Use reflection daily to upgrade your thinking habits. Most people go through their days reacting to what happens, not realizing that every experience holds valuable information. They rush from one task to another, chasing progress without understanding how they think, how they decide, or why they feel the way they do. Without reflection, habits remain unconscious, and patterns continue unchallenged. But when you start using reflection as a daily practice, something powerful happens. You stop living on autopilot. You begin to see your thoughts for what they really are, tools that shape your life for better or worse. And when you can see your thoughts clearly, you can start to refine them. Thinking is not just a process, it's a habit. And like any habit, it can either improve or deteriorate over time. When you go days, weeks, or months without examining your thinking, you allow outdated beliefs, unchecked assumptions, and emotional bias to run the show. But when you sit down regularly to reflect, you interrupt that cycle. You step outside of your thoughts and observe them with fresh eyes. You stop identifying with every feeling, you stop believing every opinion, and you start upgrading your thinking from reactive to intentional. This doesn't require hours of deep analysis. It begins with creating a few moments of stillness each day to ask yourself better questions. What did I learn today? Where did I respond well? Where did I get in my own way? What thoughts kept showing up? Were they useful? Were they honest? These kinds of questions pull you into a state of awareness. They challenge the default mode of thinking and bring your attention to the choices behind your behavior. That's where growth begins, not in judging your thoughts, but in understanding them. A person who reflects daily becomes more emotionally stable. They don't just feel anger, they explore what caused it. They don't just feel anxious, they look for the source of uncertainty. They become skilled at recognizing what triggers their reactions and what habits sabotage their peace. This gives them more control over their mental environment. It helps them catch unhelpful thoughts before they become actions, and over time, it sharpens their decision-making. They stop repeating the same mistakes, because they've taken the time to study them. Reflection is also how you build consistency. Motivation fades, willpower comes and goes, but when you reflect daily, you remind yourself of your values, your direction, and your progress. You keep your mind aligned with your goals, not just your mood. You stay connected to your purpose, even on the days when things feel unclear. This is how you keep moving forward when energy is low and distractions are high. You don't need to feel inspired every moment. You just need to stay aware of why you're doing what you're doing. The power of reflection lies in its honesty. It's not about finding the perfect answer. It's about facing yourself without excuses. Most people avoid this. They fear discomfort. They fear admitting they were wrong. But reflection is not about shame. It's about growth. When you reflect without judgment, you create space to improve. You can see your flaws without being defined by them. You can accept your missteps without being stuck in them, and you can start making different choices from a place of clarity instead of confusion. To make reflection part of your life, keep it simple and consistent. Start with a journal, not to write pages of detail but to capture key insights. A few sentences each day is enough. Focus on your thinking more than your schedule. Ask what beliefs drove your actions. Ask how your mindset helped or hurt your progress. Over time, you'll begin to see patterns. You'll notice thoughts that keep coming up. You'll realize which beliefs are outdated, and you'll find opportunities to think in new ways. Reflection is also powerful when done during quiet walks, after reading, or just before sleep. You don't always need to write. You just need to be intentional. Turn off the noise. Put down the phone. Sit with your thoughts, not to fix them, but to understand them. Your mind is always active, but it's not always productive. Reflection is how you shift from being consumed by thoughts to becoming conscious of them. It's how you stop running in mental circles and start moving forward with precision. One of the greatest benefits of daily reflection is self-trust. When you understand your thoughts, you stop second-guessing yourself. You no longer act out of fear of failure or fear of judgment. You trust your values because you've spent time clarifying them. You trust your decisions because you've explored the thinking behind them. And you trust your path because you've reflected on what matters. This inner confidence doesn't make you arrogant. It makes you calm. You're no longer at war with yourself. The more you reflect, the more resilient you become. Life will always bring uncertainty, stress, and challenge. But when you've trained your mind to examine itself daily, you're less shaken by outside forces. You can step back from the chaos and assess what's really happening. You can process your thoughts without being overwhelmed by them, and you can keep your perspective grounded, even when emotions try to pull you in 100 directions. That kind of resilience isn't luck. It's built through the quiet discipline of reflection. This habit also helps you become a better communicator. When you reflect on your thoughts, you become more precise with your words. You know what you think, and you know why. You stop reacting to others out of insecurity. You speak with clarity instead of confusion, and you listen better because you're not defending an ego, you're observing reality. This kind of presence is rare. It's powerful. It allows you to connect with others from a place of depth, not surface-level noise. The habit of reflection isn't exciting. It doesn't give you immediate rewards. But over time, it changes everything. It gives you awareness where there was blindness. It gives you direction where there was drift. It helps you think clearly in a world that encourages chaos. And it reminds you that every day holds a lesson, if you're willing to look for it. You don't need a perfect memory or flawless execution. You just need the humility to review your thinking and the courage to improve it. Your thoughts shape your life more than any outside event, and your ability to refine those thoughts depends on how often you step back and examine them. Reflection is not a break from progress, it's the foundation of it. When you commit to this practice, you start noticing what others ignore. You stop following old scripts and start writing better ones. You become more intentional, more grounded, and more effective. And day by day, you upgrade not just your thinking, but your entire life. Chapter 7. Study patterns to make smarter moves in tough moments. Most people treat difficult moments as isolated events, reacting based on emotion, urgency, or habit. But those who think strategically see something deeper. They recognize that every challenge has a structure behind every difficult choice, every repeated mistake, every overwhelming moment. There is a pattern, and those patterns are not just random occurrences, they are signals. When you learn how to notice them, you unlock the ability to respond with clarity rather than confusion. You stop making impulsive decisions that only provide temporary relief, and you start making choices that improve your position over time. Patterns exist in how you feel, how you act, how you speak, and how you interpret situations. When stress rises, you may retreat into silence or lash out in frustration. When uncertainty shows up, you may overthink or avoid action entirely. These are not just personality traits, they are conditioned responses. They come from your past experiences, from fears you've carried, and from routines you've repeated without much awareness. Studying patterns means paying attention to what you do, when you do it, and what usually happens next. It means looking beyond the surface to find the chain of cause and effect that leads you to the same outcome. Difficult moments are rarely new. They may feel intense or unfamiliar in the moment, but in truth, they often carry echoes of situations you've faced before. That's why pattern recognition is so powerful. If you've ever made a poor decision under pressure, you likely followed the same steps as the last time. The context might change, but the thinking process doesn't, unless you deliberately change it. And to change it, you have to study it. You have to observe your thoughts without defending them. You have to notice your reactions without justifying them. Only then can you start identifying what leads to poor results and what might lead to better ones. Smart moves are rarely about luck. They're built on quiet preparation, on learning from the past without becoming stuck in it. If you've failed in similar ways multiple times, that's not weakness, that's data. It's information you can use to adjust. But too often people ignore this. They blame circumstances, other people, or timing. They miss the fact that they are the common thread in all their experiences. And that realization, while uncomfortable, is where power begins. When you accept that your behavior follows patterns, you gain the freedom to shift them. There's no need to wait until life becomes overwhelming to begin this process. You can study your behavior at any time. What do you typically do when you're stressed? Do you delay decisions? Do you seek distractions? Do you go silent? Or do you overreact? These responses didn't appear overnight. They were formed over years, shaped by past events, and reinforced through repetition. The moment you begin examining them is the moment you begin transforming them. This is not analysis for the sake of self-judgment. It's observation for the sake of evolution. In tough moments, clarity becomes rare. Emotions rise, the mind narrows, and survival instincts take over. That's why pattern recognition must be built before the crisis hits. You can't expect to navigate the storm if you've never studied the wind. When you understand your patterns, you can interrupt the usual cycle. Instead of spiraling, you pause. Instead of reacting, you assess. Instead of panicking, you look for signals. You know what to expect from yourself, and you know how to anchor your actions to values, not just feelings. One of the most overlooked patterns is the tendency to escape discomfort. When a situation feels uncertain, people often rush toward the first available solution, even if it leads to long-term problems. They prioritize relief over resolution. Recognizing this pattern allows you to stay in discomfort long enough to find a better answer. It teaches you to delay the impulse and wait for a wiser response. You start to understand that not every action is progress, and not every feeling requires a reaction. Another common pattern appears in the way people seek validation. Under pressure, it's easy to start comparing yourself to others. You might seek approval, reassurance, or agreement to quiet your doubt. But when you study this pattern, you start to see how external validation rarely brings internal clarity. You realize that your most intelligent moves often come when you stop performing for others and start thinking for yourself. You begin to act from principle instead of popularity. To make smarter moves, you need more than awareness. You need discipline. It's not enough to notice a pattern once. You have to catch it repeatedly. You have to stay alert when your mind wants to drift. This takes effort, but the return is enormous. The more you practice this, the faster you recognize the signs. You'll begin to sense when your old habits are trying to take the lead. And with that awareness, you can make a new choice, one that aligns with your long-term values instead of short-term comfort. Patterns are not just about mistakes, they also reveal your strengths. When you reflect on the times you made progress, you'll see consistency there too. Maybe you made good decisions after walking in nature, after talking with a trusted friend, or after giving yourself time to think. These are success patterns, they are worth repeating. By studying them, you can build a mental framework for how to approach challenges with clarity and strength. You don't have to start from scratch every time life gets hard. You already have proof of what works, you just have to look back and learn from it. What separates those who rise under pressure from those who collapse isn't intelligence, it's self-awareness. The people who seem calm in chaos aren't immune to stress. They've just trained themselves to recognize what throws them off and how to return to center. They've studied themselves like a strategist studies the battlefield. They know which thoughts to trust and which ones to let pass. They don't rely on the moment to guide them. They rely on the patterns they've already studied. This kind of thinking is not something you do once, it's a lifelong practice. The more you study your patterns, the more you learn how to lead yourself. You stop being a victim of your environment. You stop chasing quick fixes. You start moving with purpose. Even in crisis, you think clearly. You choose your next step, not because it's easy, but because it's wise. And wisdom, more than anything else, is what builds lasting success. Pattern recognition doesn't remove pain or difficulty, but it does reduce confusion. It gives you the ability to understand what's happening within you so that you're not overwhelmed by what's happening around you. It allows you to be honest with yourself, to take responsibility, and to act from awareness. And that's what strategic thinking truly is, not a perfect plan but a steady mind that sees beyond the moment. When you develop that skill, no challenge is too big, because no reaction is out of your control. Chapter 8. Challenge old beliefs that limit your progress daily. Most of the limits in your life aren't caused by external forces. They're created by the beliefs you carry. These beliefs don't scream at you. They whisper. They disguise themselves as logic, experience, or caution. But underneath, they form mental walls that keep you operating at a fraction of your potential. The most dangerous thing about these beliefs is that they feel familiar. You've lived with them for so long that you mistake them for truth. But the truth doesn't limit your growth, only belief does. That's why you have to challenge what you think is true about yourself every single day. Limiting beliefs are not just thoughts, they're habits of interpretation. They filter how you see opportunity, how you respond to failure, and how much effort you put into changing. For years you may have told yourself you're not good with people, or that you're too old to change careers, or that success is reserved for others. And maybe these thoughts began as reactions to difficult events. Maybe you tried something and failed, and then told yourself a story about who you are. But that story solidified into a belief, and that belief became a boundary, not because it was real, but because it was repeated. If you want to make progress, you can't carry forward the same mental rules that have kept you stuck. Growth means friction. It means holding your assumptions up to the light and asking, is this really true or just comfortable? Most people never ask that question. They continue with the same routines, same choices, and same emotional responses because change feels threatening. But what's more threatening is staying the same in a life that no longer fits you. Challenging your beliefs isn't dangerous. Staying loyal to false ones is. It takes courage to question what you've always assumed. It's not easy to admit that your mindset has been the real problem, but the moment you do, everything changes. You no longer need the world to shift. You realize you can shift internally. You stop looking for permission to grow. You stop needing validation to evolve. And most of all, you begin reclaiming the power you unknowingly gave to thoughts that were never accurate. You have to look at the beliefs that shape your decisions, the ones that tell you who you can talk to, what you can try, how far you can go. Often they were installed without your full awareness. Maybe someone told you that you weren't smart, and you internalized it. Maybe a setback convinced you that success just isn't for you. Maybe comfort disguised itself as wisdom, but none of that is permanent. What you believe now doesn't have to be what you believe tomorrow, unless you're too afraid to examine it. Daily progress demands daily inspection. You can't fix what you won't face. Each day you avoid challenging your thinking is a day you reinforce limitations that don't need to exist. But when you start looking at your beliefs the way a builder inspects a foundation, checking for cracks, flaws, or weak areas, you give yourself the chance to rebuild something stronger. You stop settling for assumptions. You begin constructing clarity. There's no dramatic ritual to this. It can be simple. At the end of your day, you pause and ask yourself, what did I believe today that held me back? Where did I tell myself something was impossible when I never actually tried? When did I assume someone wouldn't understand me before even opening up? What you've believed about your past can shape what you allow for your future. But the past is not a prophecy. It's a place of reference, not a place of residence. Just because you've struggled before doesn't mean you're meant to struggle always. Just because you've failed before doesn't mean failure defines you. When you decide to update your beliefs, you give your future a chance to look different. You allow new possibilities to take root, not because the world changed, but because your thinking did. This process is uncomfortable. It feels unfamiliar to challenge what you've lived with for years, but discomfort is not a signal to stop. It's a sign that you're leaving old mental territory. Your mind will resist, not because the new beliefs are wrong, but because they're new, and the mind prefers familiarity over freedom. But when you press on, when you continue to challenge and replace what's outdated, something powerful happens. You begin thinking from strength instead of fear. Challenging beliefs doesn't mean replacing them with fantasies. It means aligning them with reality. It means asking, what beliefs help me grow? What thoughts support the person I'm becoming? Your beliefs should lift you, not limit you. They should stretch you, not shrink you. They should make room for failure without attaching shame to it. They should encourage risk without demanding perfection. Eventually you'll reach a point where you notice limiting beliefs as soon as they appear. You'll catch them before they control you. You'll interrupt them mid-sentence and replace them with a better narrative. That's when real power shows up, not because life got easier, but because your inner voice became more disciplined. You trained your mind to work for you instead of against you. No progress is sustainable unless it's supported by the right beliefs. You can take action, but if you still think small, that action will stay limited. You can gain opportunities, but if you still feel undeserving, you'll sabotage them. Your outer life will always reflect the patterns of your inner life, and the core of those patterns, belief. Every day you get to choose whether to follow the same mental track or carve a new one. That choice won't always be easy, but it will always be worth it, because the more you challenge the beliefs that hold you back, the more space you create for beliefs that move you forward. And in that space, you'll discover a version of yourself that was waiting all along, not to be created, but to be revealed. Chapter 9. Take bold action when others hesitate or avoid risk. Most people wait. They wait for certainty, for permission, for the fear to go away. They watch from the sidelines, hoping someone else will go first. They tell themselves it's not the right time, or that more information is needed. But while they're hesitating, life is moving. While they delay, the door is closing. Opportunities don't wait for comfort. They reward boldness. If you want to separate yourself from the average, Start doing what most people won't: act when others hesitate. Move forward when others shrink back. Take the risk while everyone else looks for reasons to stay safe. Every major transformation in life begins with a decision that didn't feel easy. Bold action never arrives wrapped in certainty. It arrives disguised as discomfort. The moment you feel resistance, the moment your heart races and your thoughts urge you to delay, that's usually the very moment you need to act. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the decision to move anyway, especially when it's inconvenient. The more you condition yourself to move in those moments, the more momentum you build. And once you have momentum, everything changes. Hesitation fades. Confidence grows. Fear loses its grip. You cannot become exceptional by thinking like everyone else. And most people think in terms of safety. They measure every choice by how little risk it involves. But safety rarely leads to satisfaction. It creates quiet frustration. It creates long stretches of inaction. It creates a habit of watching life instead of participating fully in it. When others hesitate, it's because they're consumed by what might go wrong. They rehearse every scenario where they'll fall short. But bold thinkers don't live in imagined failure. They prepare for reality, but they don't get paralyzed by it. They recognize risk, but they don't exaggerate it. They ask, what's the worst that could happen, and can I recover from that? Most of the time, the answer is yes, and that's enough to proceed. Fear is always loud before a bold move, but once the step is taken, fear loses its volume. You start to see what's possible instead of what's terrifying. The ability to take bold action is developed through practice. You don't start with massive leaps. You start with the small moments, speaking up in a room where you'd normally stay silent, sending a message you've been holding off on, trying something before you feel fully ready. Each time you do, you chip away at the identity of someone who hesitates. Chapter 10. Commit every day to improve just one small thing. Progress is not born from grand gestures or sudden leaps. It emerges quietly, steadily, in the small, deliberate actions taken each day. The secret to meaningful growth is not found in overwhelming change, but in the persistent commitment to improve one small thing every single day. This approach may seem modest, even insignificant at first glance, but it holds immense power. It builds momentum that compounds, forging resilience and mastery over time. Choosing to improve just one thing daily demands clarity and discipline. It requires recognizing where even the smallest adjustment can make a difference. Perhaps it's waking up 5 minutes earlier to set intentions, focusing more attentively during a conversation, or refining a habit that has lingered unnoticed. This choice centers your energy and attention on manageable targets, preventing overwhelm and fostering a steady rhythm of advancement. It's a gentle, sustainable way to become better without exhausting your willpower. When improvements accumulate daily, they create a ripple effect that touches every aspect of life. The satisfaction of progress, however small, feeds motivation. Each tiny success cultivates a mindset rooted in possibility rather than limitation. This mindset rewires your perspective, encouraging you to see obstacles as invitations to learn rather than barriers. It reframes setbacks from failures into feedback, reminding you that every step forward, no matter the size, carries value. Consistency is the foundation of this process. It's not about perfection or immediate transformation, but about showing up persistently with intention. Over time, those small actions forge new neural pathways in the brain, strengthening your ability to focus, to choose wisely, and to follow through. The discipline of daily improvement becomes a habit, and habits shape identity. As this habit takes root, you become someone who grows deliberately, someone who values progress over perfection. It's important to recognize that improvement isn't always dramatic or visible to others. Much of it happens internally, in the subtle shifts in how you think, how you respond to challenges, how you regulate your emotions. These internal adjustments may not draw attention but are crucial. They lay the groundwork for external success and sustained well-being. True growth starts inside and then radiates outward. Approaching each day with the commitment to enhance one aspect of yourself nurtures patience. It teaches that mastery is a marathon, not a sprint. You learn to appreciate the journey rather than obsess over immediate outcomes. This patience strengthens resilience because it shifts focus from instant gratification to long-term fulfillment. It keeps you grounded and steady amid life's unpredictability. The power of small improvements lies in their accessibility. Everyone, regardless of circumstances, can find a single area to improve daily. This democratizes growth. It removes excuses tied to lack of resources or time because even a minute devoted to betterment counts. The cumulative effect of these minutes forms a solid foundation for sustained progress and elevated performance. By honing in on just one element daily, you avoid fragmentation of effort. Your energy stays concentrated, reducing mental clutter and decision fatigue. This focus creates clarity, allowing you to see what truly matters and align actions accordingly. It sharpens your sense of purpose, enhancing motivation and the quality of your efforts. Reflection is a vital companion to daily improvement. At day's end, reviewing what you changed and what you learned deepens understanding. This practice uncovers patterns, highlights obstacles, and reinforces progress. Reflection transforms actions into insights and insights into wisdom. It's a way to celebrate small wins and adjust course where necessary, making the process dynamic and responsive. A commitment to small daily improvements fosters humility. It reminds you that growth is ongoing and that no one arrives at a finish line of perfection. This humility keeps you open to learning and adaptable to change. It also softens self-criticism, replacing harsh judgment with constructive curiosity about how to improve next time. This journey demands honesty about where you currently stand and where you want to go. It challenges you to confront discomfort and resist the temptation to settle for ease. Improvement requires a willingness to step outside your comfort zone, even if just a little, every day. These small steps build courage, reducing the fear of failure and expanding your capacity to handle challenges. The cumulative impact of daily small improvements shapes character. It molds patience, discipline, and perseverance. It teaches that success is less about talent or luck, and more about steady effort and deliberate choice. This realization empowers you to take ownership of your life and its direction. When you commit to improving one small thing daily, you build trust with yourself. You prove that you are reliable, that you follow through. This trust strengthens confidence and creates a positive feedback loop where belief in your capabilities fuels further growth. Over time, this self-trust becomes unshakable, supporting you through setbacks and uncertainty. Importantly, daily small improvements encourage gratitude. Recognizing progress, however minor, cultivates appreciation for your efforts and the unfolding process. Gratitude boosts mental well-being, enhancing motivation and resilience. It helps you find joy in the journey rather than postponing happiness until after major milestones. This approach is inherently sustainable because it respects human limits. It acknowledges that transformation takes time and energy, and that burning out serves no one. By focusing on one improvement at a time, you avoid overwhelm and protect your mental and emotional resources. This sustainability ensures that growth lasts. Small daily improvements also improve your decision-making over time. As you practice refining one area, your ability to assess situations, weigh options, and choose wisely strengthens. This sharpened judgment spills over into other areas, enabling smarter decisions and reducing costly mistakes. Committing to improve just one thing each day is a statement of intentional living. It says that you refuse to drift passively through life. Instead, you actively shape your path, one thoughtful choice at a time. This stance transforms life from a series of reactions into a deliberate creation of the future you desire. By embracing this commitment, you learn to honor the power of incremental progress. You start to see how small, consistent actions multiply, producing extraordinary results that defy initial expectations. This perspective transforms challenges from intimidating mountains into manageable steps, each one bringing you closer to mastery. This practice redefines success. It no longer becomes a distant, daunting goal, but a daily reality lived through focused effort. Success becomes the natural byproduct of continual refinement, patience, and resilience. It shifts from external achievement to internal growth, which is far more lasting and fulfilling. When the habit of daily improvement is established, it becomes a reliable anchor amid chaos. It provides stability and direction when external circumstances are unpredictable or difficult. This anchor keeps you moving forward, grounded in your commitment to growth regardless of outside conditions. Each day offers an opportunity to make a small adjustment that compounds over time into significant transformation. This truth liberates from the pressure of perfection and grand achievements. It invites engagement with the present moment, where real change begins. Choosing to improve one small thing daily is ultimately a commitment to yourself. It honors your potential and your capacity to grow. It's an act of respect for the life you lead and the future you want. And it carries a quiet but profound promise that with steady effort, you will become the person capable of meeting any challenge and realizing any goal.